What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and today I'm back to talk about Warhammer 40K. So this is a video that I was trying to make months ago and I kind of forgot about it, but now we're back to it, and it is revolving around a question I put out on the Warhammer YouTube community page, and it was a question regarding the most powerful warriors of the Imperium. So the question was, who is the most resistant to chaos? Is it the Grey Knights, the Adeptus Custodes, or the Sisters of Silence? And the reason why I wanted to get you guys' thoughts and information on this is because in the most recent Siege of Terra novel, The End and the Death, Part 1, we find out that the incorruptible Adeptus Custodes were actually corrupted. Now, if you've read the novel, if you've seen any types of videos on it, there's more to it than them just getting corrupted. So the Adeptus Custodes are essentially the strongest faction in all of the Imperium, minus the Primarchs. So these guys are on a whole nother level to Space Marines. Think of it as humans are as weak as compared to a Space Marine as a Space Marine is compared to a Custode. So that's the type of level that we're talking about here. And the Custodes have been the bodyguards to the Emperor himself, so you know these guys are nothing to mess with. The Emperor brought a handful of Custodes to him in order to combat Horus on his flagship, and we know that Horus has been possessed by all four Chaos Gods. His flagship is basically, you could say, it's the warp at this point. Like, it has been corrupted, it's been plagued by demons and stuff. Like, it is a place you do not want to be in. Just by being on here, you're gonna get bombarded by chaos. And when the Custodes also teleported on here, they were able to be possessed, corrupted, controlled by chaos, and they were actually attacking the man they were meant to protect, the Emperor. So if you've read the book here, you could see that they aren't actually falling to chaos willingly. They are more becoming puppets to chaos, acting against their will, and they are basically struggling to combat it. So they are semi-conscious of what they're doing, and they're going to feel instant regret. But of course, this is just a ploy to infuriate the Emperor. They weren't actually going to cause him harm or anything like that. The Emperor is on an entirely different level. But this is the first instance in the entirety of the Adeptus Custode lore that we see them become puppets to chaos. So the incorruptible have been corrupted. So because of this, I feel like the Custodes come in second place within these three factions, because again, they aren't turning willingly, but they were able to be turned, albeit it was a very, very special circumstance. In the current era of the 40K universe, we haven't seen this happen to any Custode. When a Custode is getting older and getting slower, he tends to retire and becomes the eyes of the Emperor, essentially spies that are put on outposts across the Imperium to help the Imperium face any incoming threat. As we saw with the new 10th edition lore for the 4th Tyrannic War, the eyes of the Emperor were the ones that knew they were coming, and they began to inform Terra that action needed to be taken. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk about the Grey Knights. So the Grey Knights are the warriors of the Imperium tasked to fight against any and all things warp-bound. They fight against demons, they fight against possessed mortals, and for the most part, it's like fighting fire with fire. These guys were created by Malcador the Sigillite to be a deterrent to chaos. These guys fight chaos with their own warp powers. They're all psychers, they're all incorruptible, except for maybe one. It is rumored that there is a Silver Warrior of Slaanesh who is a fallen Grey Knight who has been possessed by Slaanesh him/herself. So is this an inkling to see what will happen in the future of them? Perhaps, but we've seen Caldor Drago literally be handcuffed to the warp, so to speak, and he's been spending most of his time there fighting against chaos, and he has yet to turn. He is a force to be reckoned with, to the point where greater demons fall to him. The gardens of Nurgle have all been burnt to cinders because of him, and he is capable of going out into real space and fighting terrors of the warp there as well, and he has not been corrupted even in the slightest. So we've seen time and time again that these warriors of the Imperium are meant to be as incorruptible as possible, but we've seen them falter slightly. Just one instance with the Grey Knights, one instance with the Adeptus Custodes, but this next Legion is the one that has never fallen to chaos, and that's because of their actual creation, like who they are, what they are, and that is none other than the Sisters of Silence. This is an Imperial force of all-female blanks who hunt down the psychic threats against the Imperium. They have fought alongside the Adeptus Custodes, and they were able to freely walk around the Imperial Palace. They were heavily dispatched against many threats during the Great Crusade, and they worked in secret after the Emperor's interment on the Golden Throne. So they have worked alongside the Emperor, they have fought and made two-man cells with other Custodes to fight as one unit that is pretty much unstoppable, where the blank, the Sister of Silence, can fight against anything warp-bound, the Custodian can fight against anything from the real world. So that is definitely a combination that can take on pretty much any threat. The one thing that sets them apart from the psychically powerful Grey Knights and the alchemically created bodyguards of the Emperor is that every single sister is an untouchable, aka a null, aka a blank. They have literally no warp signature and thus cannot be affected by warp abilities. Even if you just stand near a null, you have a feeling of unease and hatred seep into you. This is not something that you want to be around, because eventually your emotions will try to kill the null or the blank. And that is because these women are indeed soulless. They have no soul that chaos wants to tempt, no soul for chaos to take over, and because of that, they are a huge asset to the Imperium. Now, I've said it before, the Grey Knights are fighting fire with fire when they go against warp Desidents, but the Sisters of Battle are literally fighting fire with water. And they know the insides and outs of all things warp-bound, be it Demon, Chaos Space Marine, etc. And because of this, that is why I think they will be the best weapon and the best shield against anything Chaos. The reason why is because they cannot get corrupted, because there is no soul to corrupt. I mean, I guess they could be puppeteered, kind of like the Custodes did, but there is no chance that they will become a Chaos Sister of Silence. And looking at the poll from months ago, you guys pretty much agreed. You guys said that the Grey Knights come in third place with 26% of the vote, being the most resistant to chaos. The Custodes barely win out with 1%, 27% here, as opposed to the Grey Knights 26%. And in first place are the Sisters of Silence with 47% of the vote. So yeah, I agree with you guys here. There is no way that the Sisters can fall to chaos, and that is why they are the best threat to chaos. So let me know your thoughts down below. Do you think this will change in the ensuing novels or the current timeline of Warhammer 40K? But I doubt it. It's good that once Guilliman returned to the fold, he reinstated the Sisters of Silence back into the Imperial fold, because once the Emperor was interred on the Golden Throne, the Imperium pretty much forgot about him and cast them away, and they were basically just scoured into the galaxy at large to kind of do their own thing. Some outright quit the Order, others never stopped fighting against chaos, and others were just waiting for the call to return. So, with that being said, guys, that's all I have for today's video. Please let me know your thoughts down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? And maybe that'll change once the Grey Knights are able to become Primaris. Now, going into a quick tangent before I end the video, Grey Knight Primaris Marines are something that I feel can't happen, because the thing about Grey Knights is that they don't have Gene Seed like the rest of the Space Marines. Regular Space Marines have Gene Seed from their Primarchs, and that's why Belisarius Cawl is able to augment the Space Marine body, physiology, and armor and stuff like that. But the Grey Knights are different, where their Gene Seed doesn't come from a Primarch, but from the Emperor himself. So maybe that will make them something different, because when you look at Grey Knights, model-wise, they look awesome. They're very detailed, they look awesome, but the thing that sets them apart is their scale. So maybe they'll just be pushed up to scale in line with the rest of the Primaris Marines, just to kind of keep all things uniform when you look at a Grey Knight as opposed to like a Primaris Marine for the Ultramarines. and there won't be any actual lore implications to this, or maybe Belisarius Cawl will be doing the heretical and be tampering with the Emperor's gene seed to make the Grey Knights that much more stronger, faster, and durable. But we'll have to wait and see. With that being said, that's all I got for today, guys. Thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. This has been the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and I'll catch you then.